Hello and welcome everyone to the course Industrial Robotics and Automation. In today's class, we will be continuing our topic, that is the circuit design for the electro-pneumatic problems. Okay, so these topics we had already covered. Okay, so we had done after all your symbol makings, your symbolic representations of different I believe your components to be used. Okay, so after introducing you to all these things, okay, we did direct and indirect control of our single acting as well as our direct and indirect control of double acting cylinders. Okay, where we saw how we directly actuated the solenoid valve, okay, by pressing a push button for a direct control, and for an indirect control what we did was actually we first actuated a relay and then used its contacts, that is either its open contact or its closed contact, to actuate the valve solenoid, okay, for your indirect control of your single acting and your double acting cylinders. Fine. And then we tried some logic operations, okay, our OR circuit as well as our AND circuit diagrams, in which we saw as compared to the pneumatic circuit where we had to require a shuttle valve or a dual pressure valve to execute our OR and AND circuit respectively. Instead, what we do here is we actually just put our switches or our relays, okay, either in a parallel connection or in a series connection to implement our OR circuit or an AND circuit in an electro-pneumatic circuit diagrams. Fine. So this was where we stopped in the last class. We'll continue further. Okay, and the first topic that we'll be covering today is the relay circuit with latching. Fine. So if you can see in your picture that appears in your screen to the right hand side, okay, you see there is a push button here, okay, and then you have your relay K1. Fine. And in this was this first circuit path. In the second circuit path, you can see we have an open contact of the same relay K1 along with a normally closed push button switch. Okay, so this normally open push button is actually designated as on, as well as your normally closed push button is denoted as your off in this circuit diagram. Okay, so where do we require these circuits? Okay, so first let us understand how does this circuit work. Fine. So when the on push button is actuated in this circuit, the relay coil is energized. So if you see, if you just even for a moment or even momentarily, if you just engage this on circuit, you just push it and leave it, okay, then what would happen? Your this K1 relay is energized, okay, and once your K1 is energized, what is happening? It's open contact here, okay, so the open contact of K1 is here, so this also energizes and this closes, this becomes a closed contact. Okay, so once this happens, what will happen? After the on push button is released, the current continues to flow via the contact K1 through this coil. So initially when you close this push button, you have your circuit that is complete here and your relay K1 gets energized, okay, due to which your open contact of this K1 relay gets engaged and you have your current starts to flow from this side. Okay, even if your on circuit is now, or your on push button is your disengaged, even then you have your current flowing here. Fine. And hence this on signal is stored. This is therefore known as a relay circuit with a latching function. That means what you did, even with a momentarily pressing a on button or your primary circuit, you had actually switched on a relay, okay, and even after this circuit is switched off, okay, still you have your relay that is actually latched. Fine. So these types of circuits are actually required, okay, where you want to switch on something with a relay, okay, and that needs to be a constant power source that has to be provided. However, your main circuit which actually switches on the relay is only a temporary or a momentarily acting switches, okay, or your push buttons. Fine. So I hope you have understood this. So now even in the relay circuit with latching, there are two types of circuits. Okay, so the first one, it is known as your dominant on circuit. Okay, why is it called dominant on? Okay, so see, if suppose we press this push button, okay, the relay gets actuated, fine, and then this contact closes of this relay, and then you have your this relay that is latched. Okay, when you press the off button, what happens? This leads to your, since this was a normally closed contact, okay, so whenever you are pressing the push button off, or this off push button, then what is that? You are breaking the circuit, and hence your this relay gets de-energized. Fine. Now imagine if you press both the switches together, what would happen if both switches are together, pressed together? Will the relay work as a latched, or will the relay will not switch off? What will be the case? If I press this as well as this, both on and off push button together, then what would happen? This circuit would break. Why? Because this is a normally closed circuit, so whenever it is actuated, it will break the circuit. However, this circuit, okay, this will switch it on, because initially it is an open circuit, so whenever you are pressing the push button, this circuit will close, and then you have your relay that will be energized and it will remain in the energized state. Okay, even if you leave the both, still your relay K1 will remain in the energized state. Okay, so this is known as a dominant on circuit. Okay, so it says when the off push button is pressed, the flow of the current is interrupted and the relay becomes de-energized. Fine. If when the on switch button is pressed, again the flow of the current is actually given to the relay and the relay becomes energized. Fine. But if the on and off push buttons are both pressed together at the same time, then the relay coil is energized. Okay, and hence this circuit is referred to as dominant on latching circuit. Okay, so it is a latching circuit, but it is a dominant on. That means even if you press both the push button, okay, one is your on and one is your off, in that case your relay remains in your on position. Fine. So this is known as your dominant on circuit. You have your another circuit, whereas where it is known as your dominant off circuit. If you see the construction between a dominant on and a dominant off, you will notice that the placement of this off push button switch, okay, in a dominant on circuit it is placed in parallel. Okay, here if you compare to this current path 1 and 2, it is placed in parallel to this, okay, before your current actually flows to the K1, whereas in the dominant off circuit, okay, this off push button, okay, is actually placed in series, okay, in the current path number 1 itself, okay, where your relay is put. So in this case, now just try to imagine, if you press on the switch button, your relays will get energized K1, and hence the open contact of this relay K1 will get again closed, and hence you will have your this relay latched, okay, K1 relay latched. If you press off, okay, then this again the relay width will become unlatched. Fine. However, if you press both on as well as off push button together, then will the relay K1 energize and get locked, or will it not? It will not. Why? Because you have your this off push button, okay, this will actually break the circuit. Okay, so no matter, even if the push button is pressed on, okay, fine, this will not lead to your circuit being complete, and hence your K1 relay will neither get energized nor it will latch. Okay, so this circuit is known as your dominant off position, in which when you press both the push buttons, okay, then your relay K1 does not get engaged nor it gets latched. Whereas in a dominant on position, if you press both push button on as well as the push button off together, then your relay gets energized and it remains in the latch position until unless I do not press the off push button separately to break the circuit. Fine. So this is what is explained here. Okay, fine. So if the on and off push button are both pressed at the same time, the relay coil is not energized, and hence this circuit is referred to as your dominant off circuit. Okay. Again, you must be wondering, why are we using this function known as your latching function? For example, if you want, if I want to keep anything, if you just try to understand this, okay. So basically, by latching, what I am doing, I am trying to convert this push button actuation into a switch, right? So earlier when I used to press this push button on, then my relay used to get actuated only till when my on push button is pressed. The moment that on push button is released, my relay used to get de-energized. Fine. But in this case, what is happening? The moment you are pressing the push button, and even if you are relieving it, what is happening? This K1 is just acting like a latched, and hence this push button is actually behaving like a switch. Okay, that means just like a switch is a detent switch, it maintains in position. Similarly, this relay will continuously have the supply and will maintain its position until unless I do not switch it off using some other relays. Okay, that is some other push button. That is, in case here it is known as your off push button. We do require these circuits in a variety of places. Okay, say one of the place may be, for example, suppose you want to extend or you want to retract, or say suppose you want to initiate a motor. Okay, in which your motor should run continuously. However, that motor is to be started with a, say, a limit switch, fine, or any sensors. Okay, and it is a binary sensor. That means either it will get on or it will get off, and that is a very momentarily position. Okay, so suppose when my cylinder is extended, it goes and touch one of my limit switch, that is a roller valve. Okay, and then it comes back. However, once my cylinder has extended and touched this limit switch, if I, instead of this on push button, if I place my limit switch, make switch of my limit switch button here, then what would happen? This would temporarily close this circuit, and hence my this relay would get latched, and with this relay I can actually what? Engage my motor, which will now run continuously. Fine. Even if my cylinder has retracted back and my limit switch has returned to its initial position, that is what it was, it returned to its normally open circuit. Okay, even then my motor would run. Okay, now I can use another limit switch, for example, of a different cylinder to switch off a motor. So that what I will do, I will just be placing it here as my off switch here, so that whenever that cylinder extends and touches another limit switch, okay, then this would actually break the circuit, and hence my entire K1 relay would get unlatched, and that would switch off the motor. So there are a variety of cases. Okay, so this actually what it does says, it latches the relay, because a relay will only get momentarily on. Okay, if you just put your relay just behind your input elements. Okay, but however, if suppose you want to latch a relay for even a momentarily on circuit, then what you have to do, but if you want to actuate, or if you want to keep the relay in its actuated position, then you have to actually latch the relay. Fine. So let us see one example of our cylinder control with latching. Fine. Say suppose I have my single acting cylinder or a double acting cylinder, both. So one being operated by a 3x2 valve and the other operated by a 5x2 valve here. Okay, fine. So this is the pneumatic portion of the circuit, and this is again the pneumatic portion of a circuit for a single acting and your double acting cylinder. Fine. And you have one solenoid here. Okay, fine. Now if suppose I say make a circuit in which you do not have to use any switches, means the circuit should not be detentive in nature. You cannot use any control switches. You are only have to use push button. Okay, and then it should be such that when I press one push button, the cylinder should extend. Okay, and it should remain in this extended position. Fine. It should not retract back until I do not press a second push button. So when I press a second push button, it should retract back. Okay. So in this case, you will be requiring a latching circuit. Okay, fine. So if you see, this is a push button S1. Okay, which is used to extend the cylinder. Fine. So the moment I press this push button, what happens? This actually engages my relay K1, and a normally open contact of my relay is here. Fine. So that what it would do, it would make, the moment this relay is energized, this will actually close the contact, and hence even after this circuit is open, this circuit current will continue to flow here, and this relay K1 will get latched. Okay, so the moment K1 is get latched, what will happen? This K1 will also remain in the latched position. Fine, and hence your Y1 valve solenoid will continue to get engaged, and your cylinder will remain in its extended position. Okay, so you press this push button, K1 latches, this and this, both the make switches of the K1 latches at the same time. Okay, and hence your Y1, one Y1 is actuated. This one Y1, when it is actuated, the pressurized line now starts to flow here and extends the cylinder. Okay, even if you have switched off the this push button, even then what happens? This K1, your current starts to flow this circuit, and your K1 relay remains in its latched position, and hence your Y1 will always remain engaged, and your cylinder will remain in the extended position. Okay. Now to retract the cylinder back, what you are going to do? You have to unlatch this relay. Okay, and for unlatching this relay, what is happening? You are using another push button here. Okay, so that the moment you press this push button, then what would happen? This current path will break, and hence your K1 will get de-energized, and hence all your contacts of K1 will get opened, and your solenoid valve will get de-energized, and hence your cylinder would retract back. Fine. So if you see, this is a case of your this is the case of a dominant on circuit or dominant off circuit. Anyone? Yeah, good. It is dominant off, because if I press this both push button together, then what would happen? My cylinder would not extend. Okay, either the single acting or double acting, both would not extend. Fine. So this is one example. I showed you just like how your cylinder control with latching is going to work. Okay, you can use latching circuits in other variety of places also. Fine. So with this, we are going to now just move to our next circuit design problem, and that is your automatic return stroke. Okay, from here onwards, nowadays even you all can try, okay, with your softwares if you see. So the aim is for the piston rod of a double acting cylinder to be advanced when push button S1 is actuated. Okay, so what is it? When I am pressing a push button S1, okay, it is not a control switch, it is a push button. So when I am pressing a push button, my piston rod of a double acting cylinder is extended. Okay, when the forward end position is reached, then the piston rod is to return automatically. Okay, that you have to implement this circuit using a double solenoid and a limit switch. Fine. Why a double solenoid? Because you are going to have a double acting cylinder. Fine. And to actuate the double acting cylinder, one solenoid valve is required to extend, and the other solenoid valve will be there to retract the cylinder back. Okay. Fine. Just how we are going to draw this circuit, if you see. Okay, so this will be your pneumatic circuit. Okay, so a pneumatic circuit, as I told you in the question, it was given, you have a double acting cylinder, you have a double solenoid valve, as well as you have a limit switch. Why a limit switch? To detect the end position. So this is your double acting cylinder 1A. You have your limit switch here 1S2, that will detect the completely extended position of the cylinder. Okay, fine. Then you have your 5x2 valve. Okay, double solenoid valve, both side. 1Y1 is your solenoid valve here, and 1Y2 is your another solenoid valve for the same cylinder 1A. Fine. And this is your compressed air. Fine. What would be your electrical circuit for this? So see, if I am using this entire suppose circuit, if all my solenoids are so designed that it has to work on a 24-volt system, most of the cases it is a 24-volt system circuit, so we are going to work on that system itself. Okay, so we have a 24-volt connection here, we have a 0-volt connection here. Okay, now the question says by pressing a push button S1, so I have a push button, this is a symbol for a push button switch, which is a normally open contact here. Okay, and I have my 1Y1 valve here. Okay, so the moment I press my push button, what happens? My 1Y1 solenoid valve gets actuated. This spool shift towards the left envelope, and my double acting cylinder extends. Okay, fine. It extends. The moment it reaches its completely extended position, then this is my limit switch. Okay, a normally open contact type of limit switch. Okay, the moment it reaches extended position, then this it is a roller valve type of arrangement. Okay, so the moment the roller valve is clicked by the extended position of the piston rod, then this circuit will close. Okay, and once this closes, what it would do? It would energize my solenoid valve 1Y2. Okay, and that would shift this spool envelope to the right. Okay, and then my double acting cylinder would retract back. Fine. Okay, and this would happen only once. It would not continue. Why? Because this is a push button here. Okay, so once when you had pressed it, okay, only then it was momentarily switched on. Then you with 1Y1 was engaged. The moment it went to the extended position, your 1Y2 get engaged, it returned back. Fine. So, but then again, this circuit is your direct control or indirect control? Is it direct or what? What was the output here? Your output valve is a solenoid valve. Is it getting directly actuated by a switch, or there are some relays in between? Directly actuated. So that means this is a direct control circuit diagram. Fine. So see, the same thing I'm implementing it using an indirect control, and now you can see the difference. What I'm doing, I am pressing a push button S1. With that, I'm energizing a relay K1. Okay, and then an open contact of K1 is used here, so that the moment your K1 is energized, this will close and your 1Y1 will get energized. Fine, and this would lead to the extension of the cylinder. Once the cylinder is completely extended, your 1S2 will get closed. Okay, and then your K2 will energize your relay K2. Okay, when this K2 is energized, this open contact of K2 will close and it will energize my valve solenoid 1Y2, that is my this solenoid valve here, and then again my cylinder would retract back. Okay, so I have showed you using both the types of control. Okay, so this is your direct control. The same thing, even in this, if you see, I have not deviated from the question. The question says I had to do that using a push button S1. Okay, and I had to use a double solenoid valve, and I had to also use a limit switch. Okay, so in both the cases, even in this, I'm using one S1, okay, a double solenoid, that is 1Y1, 1Y2, and I'm using one limit switch here. Similarly, in this case also, I'm using one push button S1, two solenoid valves here, 1Y1 and 1Y2, and I'm using a limit switch 1S2. However, these control, I have done it using the relays, and this I have directly actuated your solenoid valve. Okay. So this was one type of problem. Now we will just try to do the same thing here. We will just try to have a continuous oscillating movement. Okay. So for that, again, what we are doing, we are using a control switch S1. Okay, that means the piston rod of a cylinder is to advance and retract automatically as soon as my control switch S1 is actuated. When you reset the control switch S1, then the piston rod would stop. Fine. So again, any change in the pneumatic circuit diagram? Since it is a double acting cylinder, you are having a 5x2 double solenoid valve, and you are going to have one compressed pressure line here. Fine. So that is a pneumatic circuit. However, since it has to oscillate, that means when it is returning back, it has to again extend. When will it extend? When there is a limit switch to detect its retracted position also. Okay. So in the previous case, we are using only one limit switch, that was your 1S2. Okay. Here you will be using your two limit switches, 1S1 and 1S2, to detect two end positions of your pneumatic cylinder. Okay, so S1 is detecting the retracted position, and S2 is 1S2 is detecting your a completely extended position of the same cylinder 1A. Okay, so the circuit diagram for this would be here. If you see, so I have my this. If you just see the symbol here, so this is a symbol of a control switch. You just have your one wedge shaped structure here. Okay, so this is a switch. So when I will engage this, it will remain in its closed position until unless I do not disengage the switch again. Fine. So this is extended, and along with this, what I am using, I am also using my 1S1. Okay. So this shows you this double arrow pointing upwards. Okay, arrow pointing upwards. This shows that my initially valve was like this. Okay, my roller valve or my limit switch, but this is showing you engaged position of the valve. Okay, so that means since my cylinder is in its retracted position, this 1S1 valve is engaged, and hence this valve will remain closed. Okay, this fine, this switch will remain closed. This would lead to energizing my 1Y1 valve solenoid. My cylinder would extend. The moment it reaches my completely extended position, it will energize 1S2. That would again energize my 1Y2 valve. The cylinder will retract back. Now when it will retract back, again this 1S1 valve will get closed, because this is already closed. This is a control switch. So once you had pressed it, it will remain in its on position. Okay. So when the circuit was broken, why was it broken? Because when the cylinder had moved forward, then your 1S2 was 1S1, sorry, 1S1 had become open. Now the moment cylinder retracts back and again touches 1S1, again my circuit will get engaged, and my 1Y1 will get engaged. My cylinder would extend forward and retract back. This will continue till when I do not switch off my circuit using my control switch S1. Okay, again this is the direct actuation of it, and similarly you can see here as your indirect actuation. Fine. So this is the same thing, only instead of directly actuating 1 by 1, 1 by 2, what I am doing, I am using a K1 and a K2 delay for actuating my solenoid valve 1 by 1 and 1 by 2. Fine. So now one last element that I need to cover, because these things I had also done in the your pneumatic circuit diagram. There we had used a time delay valve, right? So that means when your piston rod was extended, okay, and then it had to remain in its extended position for some amount of time, okay, and that we used using a time delay valve, where your pressurized port was initially drained to a tank, okay, and once your that delay was given in draining the fluid, okay, once the tank was full, only then it actuated a 3 by 2 roller valve, and then you had your signal back, okay, to either shift the spool of a 5 by 2 double solenoid valve, double pilot actuated valve, okay, to do the same function. So since we are now using a electrical circuit diagram, okay, so here what we have, we can actually use a relay known as your time delay relay. Okay, so basically these time delay unit is itself adjusted in the delay, and the symbol for a symbolic representation of a time delay relay is here. Fine, if you see here K2. So just a normal relay is like this. Okay, time delay relay is nothing but another box added here with 2 cross marks. This is actually a symbolic representation of your delay with a time delay. So if suppose there is a question which says when a push button S1 is pressed momentarily, okay, and the piston rod of a cylinder is to advance, remain in its forward end position for 10 seconds and then retract back. Okay, so this is the pneumatic circuit diagram for the same. Fine, and this is your electrical control unit, where what you are doing when you are pressing the push button S1, your K1 is actuated. With this K1, your 1 by 1 will get actuated and the cylinder would extend. Okay, once it has it has completely extended, your 1S2 will get actuated. So when this 1S2 is actuated, your relay K2 will get actuated. Okay, now the contact of K2, that is here, it will only close, okay, once your 10 second has lapsed. That means your relay will get actuated, okay, and your timer will start. Okay, then here you can set the time. The moment it is 10 seconds, only after 10 seconds, okay, what would happen? All your contacts that are connected to my K2 relay, it will either open or it will either close, depending upon what was its initial configuration. And then simultaneously you can have your this solenoid valve engaged, and then your cylinder would retract back. Okay, so these were all the things that I had to cover in my electro-pneumatic circuit diagram. We will just practice some of the problems that we had done in this pneumatic. Okay, so initially today I'll be showing you how to make some basic circuits of your electro-pneumatic. Okay, fine. So
sir,
yes,
sir, in that example, sir, why you are not giving a switch in the K1 line as you did it earlier?
why I'm not giving?
The switch to detect the un to detect the unextended position of the cylinder.
Which one? This one? No, it only said that my time delay had to be kept only at the extended position. So I used only one S1. It is not completely reciprocal. It was only for one cycle, if you assume.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So if I say this cycle has to continue till my do not close, then again I have to put one more valve here, one S1, so that again when it comes back, it will extend forward, remain 10 seconds, again come back, again extend forward. Fine. So if this is only for one cycle, then I can do it with only one valve, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So uh, fine, just is my screen visible? My fluid sim screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So those who have installed the software, they can practice along with me. Okay, so let us make first a direct as well as indirect control. Okay, fine. For say double acting cylinder. Fine. So I will be taking a compressed source here, and then I will be taking a double acting cylinder. Fine. Which type of valve do I require here? Which type of valve do I require here? Even if
5/2.
solenoid actuated.
good, it will be solenoid actuated because we are working now on a electro-pneumatic circuit. Okay, so let us go to 5/2 solenoid actuated. Fine. So the symbol of this would actually look like this, since right now we have here pilot as well as your fine, and fine. Anything else do I have to do here? Come on, now I need some input from your side. What? No, just now I'm not doing any automatic. Just I'm just trying to extend the cylinder and control the cylinder by using 2 push buttons. Anything else do we require here in the pneumatic portion? See, now you can ask a lot of questions, okay? And even when I'm asking you, you should able to reply, because now we are doing the practice session. Do we require anything more in the pneumatic circuit? Only then you will understand the difference between pneumatic and electro-pneumatic. Or is it sufficient? Come on, at least answer yes or no.
Yes, sufficient, sir.
Fine. Okay, so the component is sufficient, but do I have to name any components here? Label?
Sir, solenoid.
Yes, good. We have to name the solenoid. Okay. So what should be the label of the solenoid? This one?
Sir, 1/1, 2/1.
1/1 or 2/1 or 1/2? What should it be? This one. Should it be 1/2 or 2?
1/2.
Yeah, this should be 1/2. Good. Fine. So this is my pneumatic circuit. Now let us make a electro-pneumatic circuit. Okay. So you drag down in this menu here. Then you will come to your power supply units here. Okay. So what you do, there is a 24-volt connection. You take this here and a 0-volt. Fine. Then I require 2 push button switches. 2 push buttons. I mean, it is not switches. So I take a manually operated push button here. Fine. And then if it is a direct control, then what I will do, I will be also requiring my valve solenoid. Right? What will I name this as? 1/1. Yes, fine. So now just make these connections here. Again, the same green color dot will come out here, and then you can go and just put the connections here. Fine. Okay, and then this will only be.
How do we put the naming of?
Just double click. Just double click on that. Okay, you will just have to come here and double click. Then ultimately you will get a label. Fine. Then now to retract back, what I will do, I will take another push button valve here. Not valve, sorry. Push button valve terminologies will be used in pneumatic. I will be just taking a push button here. Fine. And then a solenoid valve again here. This I will name it as 1/2. Fine. And I will make these connections. That's it. Now, if you just start the simulation. Fine. You see your electropneumatic. These are your dark color lines showing your pressurized line. That means initially it is in the retracted position. Okay. Now see when I will be pressing this push button, then what happened? My cylinder extended. Fine. And then when I'm pressing this push button, my cylinder retracted. Okay. Let's do it step by step. Again, so fine. When I press this, okay, see this arrow showing my engaged position of this here. Fine. I hope it's visible. I'll make it more large. Okay. See this arrow. Okay, this showed that now this push button is engaged. Fine. These red color line will actually show your current flow direction. Okay, so the moment this push button you closed it, then you had your current that flew here. Okay, and then your 1y1 got engaged. Okay, again shown by the same arrowhead pointing topwards. So when your 1y1 will get engaged, then this spool will shift towards the left. Okay, or your left envelope will get engaged, and this would result in my cylinder to move forward. Fine. Now this position of the valve will remain. Why? Because this is not a spring return, or this is not a spring offset. Okay, so until unless I do not get another actuation from this solenoid valve, my default position of this valve will now become 2 as 1y1. Okay, fine. So now to retract back, what I have to do? I have to energize this valve 1y2. Okay, to energize 1y2, what I did? I directly connected it to another push button. So when I will be pressing this push button, if you see this got engaged now. Now again my valve solenoid 1y2 got engaged. This engaged the right envelope of this valve, 5/2 valve, and hence my cylinder came back. Fine. So this was my direct control. Fine. Now if I have to do indirect control, what I have to do? I have to use relays. Fine. So just try to make that circuit. So where will be the change? First, let me just drag in one relay. So this is a symbol of a relay. So I will be just moving these circuits.
Sir, I am not able to find the 1y1 naming this one even in the by clicking on the valve solenoid, sir.
Valve solenoid, when you double click on that, do you see your label comes? You have to type those label one by one. You don't have to.
No, it directly goes to properties of that valve solenoid, the big windows.
For example, if this is there, okay, when you double click, this small window does not come like this.
No, in your screen it's not visible, but in mine also it just comes as a big unit as properties. I don't know why, sir.
Okay, just wait. Let me see. So I will be taking first
But
this.
you will have to double click, sir, when it is coming green.
This? No, it is not that you have to, when you have to. You just have to put it here, okay? The moment it is there, and just double click on this. It will come one by one. I have just labeled it. Anyway, first just let me complete this, then I'll see what you do. You are going to place this here, this circuit. Similarly, name this relay as K1. Fine, capital K1, and then I'm going to use another relay here. I will name this as K2, and I'm going to make these connections. Fine. Now after my relays have been connected, okay, what do I have to use? I have to use contact of these relays, okay, judiciously, so that my desired function of actuating 1y1 and 1y2 is achieved. Okay, so what type of contact of K1 can I use? Do I have to use a normally open contact or a normally closed contact?
That's normally open.
Normally open. Good. So see, if you come to the general switches section here on to your left, you have your make switch section here. Okay, so you just take a make switch and drop it here. So this is just a make switch. Neither it is a push button, nothing. It is just a open connection make switch. Okay. So this, if you click, double click on this, and you can just name it as K1. Okay. That means now this make switch has become a normally open contact of the same relay K1 here. Okay, fine. And you just do the connections here. Fine. Connect this to my solenoid wire 1y1. And from 1y1 again I am connecting it to this position. Notice one thing, the moment I did this K1, what appeared here? What appeared here just below this? Anyone? If you can recall from a previous lecture, I told whenever a relay will be used K1, okay, it has its two type of contacts, a normally open contact and its normally closed contact. Okay, now when you are using a normally open contact, in whichever current path you are going to apply, okay, all your current path will come here. Fine. So if you just notice, this is a K1, these 1, 2, 3, these are what? These are your current path. Okay, and I have used one normally open contact of K1 at my current path 3. Okay, so see, it shows 3 here. Fine. Now say suppose I am using the same relay, another contact here. Okay, and this suppose I connect it to this path, connect this one here and this one here. See what appeared here? 4. That means it is showing that this relay K1, okay, it can have a normally closed contact and can have a normally open contact. Okay, its normally open contact is used at current path number 3 and at current path number 4. So if I can easily locate, I have to just see this current path. I can see this is my current path 3. That means one open contact of K1 is real. Although K1 is written here also, but this is there to just show you. Okay, suppose you have one relay and you have around 15 or 20 contacts of the same relay. Okay, in a circuit diagram which has around 150 or 200 current path, then it is very easy to locate. Okay, where are all the normally open contact of this relays used and where are all the normally closed contact of the relays used. Fine. So technically, what should come here to execute this circuit diagram? This one should be K1 or K2 when I'm talking about current path number 4. What should it be?
K2.
Yeah, this should be K2. Fine. So you just click this and name it as K2. Fine. Now you see, just the moment I did this K2, what happened? Below my K2 relay, now and under this section normally open, 4 appears. That means the K2 relay has one open contact, normally open contact at current path number 4. This shows here. Okay, so the moment you start making these circuits, these things start to appear automatically. You don't have to make this. Okay, but this is what is known as all your contact element tables and all those. So these are made in a electrical circuit diagram. Okay, for an electro-pneumatic. Fine. Now just try to simulate this. Again the same thing. Let us go step by step. I did this. Then this would energize my K1. And now see, in the next step you will see this K1 make switch getting closed. See, you saw this? So it was a normally open contact of K1. The moment this K1 got energized, this became closed. Fine. And when this got closed, your 1y1 got actuated. Now with this 1y1, this valve will shift towards this left envelope. Okay. And this would lead to the extension of my cylinder. Fine. And then what I have to do, again I have to return, I will just close this. Those red color lines shows my, again, current flow path. This leads to energizing my relay K2. Now once this K2 is energized, my normally open contact of K2 will close. Okay, you see, in the next step, this got closed. Now you have your current that is flowing through this part also. Fine. So that my 1y2 gets energized, which would lead to my right envelope getting engaged. Fine. And then my cylinder would retract back. Any doubt in this, anyone? This should be crystal clear to you. Okay. Any doubt? You do not understand anywhere like why K1, K2. See all the whatever I taught you, okay, in the diagram for the electrical circuit, everything appears here. I told you all my input elements will be on the top of the circuit. Okay. It flows from top to down, and all your output elements are the lower bottom. Lower part of or your bottom part of the circuit. You can see here. All your input elements, your switches S1, S2, and all those things are here. Okay, and all my 1y1, 1y2, as well as energizing my relay. A contact of a relay is an input element, whereas the relay itself is an output element. Fine. So see, all they are in the bottom. Again, I told you my circuit will always flow from left to right. Okay, if you see, I started making the circuit from left and gone to the right. And then I told you all the control elements will be towards the left, and all your main circuit elements will be towards the right. Here, what is the main circuit element? Your energizing of solenoid 1y1 and 1y2. Okay. So if you see, this is towards the right part of the circuit, whereas all your control elements, okay, they are all towards the left part of the circuit. Okay. I had told you different symbols to recognize. Fine. So if you see, technically this should be named as what? S1, and this should be named as S2. Fine. So if you see all the naming, all the switches input elements, they are all named as S1. Relays are named as K1. A1 and A2 are just the armature current positions of this relay K1. Okay. And all the contacts of K1 or K2, whatever the relays, they are all used here. Okay. They have different. And this is the table of the relay K1, and this is the contact table of relay K2. Fine. And these are your solenoid valves 1y1, 1y2. Okay. Any question, any confusion? Anyone? I hope this is very, very clear. You have understood the difference. Pneumatic circuit, what we do in an electro-pneumatic, you have to make a pneumatic portion, you have to make an electrical portion. How your electrical circuit control diagram has to be drawn, and how your pneumatic, what is the basic difference. So what is the link between this electrical component and your this power element? What is the link? What is controlling them? Linking them? Anyone? Yes, this 5/2 valve. Okay, that is solenoid operated 5/2 valve. Okay, so this is actually an interface that links finally all your control elements, your input element, as well as all your processing. And this is your, again, one more question. What are your output elements here? Anyone? What is your output element? If I say identify the number of inputs here and number of outputs here, can you say what are your inputs here?
What is the voltage, sir?
Anyone else? Input? This is
Button, sir.
Yeah, this is one of the most basic thing you should understand whenever you are doing any automation. Forget about anything, right from pneumatic to electro-pneumatic to PLCs. Your input, what are your inputs? Here your inputs are your push button, because these input you are feeding into the system, right? So these are the elements with which you are going to actually control. So your input are your push buttons here, your S1 and your S2, right? And what are your outputs here? Anyone? Outputs. See, very important part.
K1, K2.
Pressure valve, sir.
Be more specific. Is it pressure valve or what? The outputs are my solenoid valve 1y1 and 1y2. See, ultimately with all the logic, what did you do at the end? With all the process control last, what you had actuated? You had actuated 1y1. The moment 1y1 gets actuated, this cylinder will automatically extend. You don't have to do anything to extend this cylinder, because the power connection is already here, the compressed line is here, or your pressurized source is here. Okay, only one signal is required to extend the cylinder. And what is that signal? Your solenoid valve 1. The moment you actuate your solenoid 1 by 1, the spool shift and the cylinder extends. Right? Now whenever you have to retract, again what you have to do? Your 1 by 2 you have to actuate. Okay, so that means if I say count the number of inputs and outputs in this circuit, you will say there are 2 input elements, that is your switches S1 and S2, and there are 2 output, that is your 1 by 1 and your 1 by 2. Your cylinder can never be an output. Fine. Try to understand this. Your cylinder is not, because see, why I cannot say my cylinder is an output? Instead of this cylinder, if I remove this and if I put one rotary actuator here, that is my rotary motor. Okay, so still this circle will work. What will happen? The moment you press this push button, what would happen? My pneumatic motor or my hydraulic motor will start to run clockwise, right? And the moment I engage 1 by 2, it will start to run anti-clockwise. Are you getting my point? Anyone? Any doubt in this? So that means these things are not my output elements. Whatever I feed to here, whatever a connection I make to this valve, okay, that thing would run irrespective of whether it is a linear actuator, it is a rotary actuator, or anything, whatever I connect. So these are not my output elements. Fine. Output element can be one thing. Suppose instead of this, okay, instead of 1 by 2, one other here, I take this and I place a lamp here. Can I find a lamp? Just a second. Okay, let's say one lamp is here, denoted by anything. Say suppose, yeah, I just got it. This. Now tell me, what is this? Will this be an input or an output? This lamp will be an output. Why? Because ultimately with all the different input elements and output elements, you are actually triggering this. Fine. So this is an output. You can see ultimately final element that you are going to control is here. But towards the pneumatic circuit, whatever you place in this portion of my whatever connection that I make here, okay, whether that be your hydraulic motor, pneumatic motor, or whatever it is, I am least bothered about it. What I am controlling, I am controlling my 1 by 1 and 1 by 2 here. Okay, that means these two becomes my output. Okay, similarly, suppose I have one sensor here. Fine, I place one roller valve here. Okay, roller valve I'll be placing instead of my okay, whatever be the connection. Right now, suppose I made this just okay, and I named this as one S2. Fine. Right now, just forget this system. Okay, all these things are there. Now this. Now tell me, this is an input or an output element? 1S2. Good. Why? Because see, with this input, you have to actuate some output, right? And this 1S2, I'm actually placing it here. Say, suppose my 1S2 is here. Fine. That means my 1S2 is here, and this S2 is linked to this roller valve. Suppose whenever my cylinder extends, then this 1S2 is actuated. Okay. And when this 1S2 is actuated, again my K2 relay is there. With that K2 relay, I am actuating my output, any output. That means all your sensors, all your limit switches, all your pressure switches, what are they are doing? They are actually your input device. Because see, if you want to do anything, suppose you want to close the door or you want to open a door when somebody enters it. Okay, so it is a light sensor, right? So your light sensor is the optical light sensor. Suppose somebody is coming, the moment it detects or he crosses this, okay, optical sensor, your door should open. Then what is this sensor doing? The sensor is acting as an input device, so that whenever there is an optical budge into it, the sensor is sensing something and it is sending one information. And in the return, what is your output of that sensor? The opening of the door. Fine. That means all your sensors are actually input device. For example, your mobile sensors. The moment it detects proximity, okay, that your earpiece is near when you're talking, then what it will do? It gives one input signal there. And what is your output? Switching of your screen, okay, at that time is your output function. Okay, so all your sensors, all your switch buttons, okay, and all the different combinations that you are actually controlling, they will be your input. Outputs will be your motors, okay. In motors, in a sense, not hydraulic motors. If you are just running a direct, suppose I just connect one direct motor here, your normal electric motor here, your lamps, your 1x1, 1x2 valves, solenoid valves, okay, all those things will be your output elements, right? Fine. So we'll stop here. We'll continue with the practice session in the tomorrow's class and in the class next week, that is a Thursday. Okay, so we'll try all the problems, okay, your AND circuit, OR logic, and all the different types of problem that we did with the pneumatic. We'll try it with same with the electro-pneumatic circuit. Till the time you can practice here. Yes, so 1 second.